What if I told you that kids in ancient Rome were waking up before sunrise, walking miles to school, and reciting 200-line poems without a notebook, calculator, or even a desk? And here's the twist. Some of their methods might actually solve modern education problems. Let's pit Roman schools against today's classrooms and see who comes out on top. Part 1. Inside a day at Rome's roughest schools. Roman education wasn't for the weak. It started early, literally. Many Roman boys began formal education at age 7. Their first teacher, the literator, think of them as your primary school teacher, but with a stick. Class took place not in a fancy building, but in a rented room or sometimes outside. There were no chairs. Kids sat on stools or even on the ground. Discipline was brutal. The phrase "spare the rod, spoil the child," that was daily policy. But here's the wild part. Despite the harshness, Roman kids were trained to memorize entire speeches by Cicero and Virgil. No Google, no textbooks, just pure repetition. Part 2. Rome's curriculum was built for thinkers, not test takers. Roman schools had 3 levels. 1. Literator, reading, writing, basic math. 2. Grammaticus, literature, grammar. Poetry. 3. Rhetor, speech, logic, persuasion. By age 16, elite Roman students could deliver full speeches from memory, debate legal topics, and quote Homer, line by line. Meanwhile, in many modern systems, students struggle to write a clear email or speak confidently in front of a class. And not because they're less smart, but because the focus has shifted. Modern education prioritizes STEM, tech, and testing. Rome prioritized rhetoric, the art of thinking clearly and speaking persuasively. Part 3. Discipline then versus disruption now. Let's talk discipline. Roman schools were intense. Mistakes meant punishment, sometimes physical. That wouldn't fly today, and for good reason. But modern classrooms swung hard in the opposite direction. Today, classroom disruption is one of the top reasons teachers leave the profession. In a 2023 survey, 40% of teachers reported student behavior as a major daily challenge. So here's the question. Can we take Rome's discipline mindset minus the violence and use it to rebuild classroom respect? Maybe it's not about punishment, but about higher expectations and accountability. Part 4. Roman students weren't just learning, they were training to lead. Here's where it gets deep. Romans didn't go to school just to get a job. They went to school to prepare for citizenship, to serve in politics, to lead armies, to shape ideas. Education wasn't about grades. It was about duty. Compare that to modern times. Surveys show over 60% of students feel school isn't preparing them for real life. We've loaded schools with standardized tests, college prep, and tech, but lost the why. Roman schools trained orators and thinkers. We often train test takers. What if we brought back purpose-driven learning? Not just what do you want to be, but what problems do you want to solve? Part 5, ancient facts versus modern stats. Who did it better? Let's throw down some numbers. In ancient Rome, a typical school day lasted 6 hours, starting at sunrise. Today, US school days average 6.9 hours, but less than 45% of that time is spent in direct instruction. Roman students could recite hundreds of lines of poetry by memory. Modern research shows the average 14-year-old now struggles to recall even 5 consecutive lines of Shakespeare. Only boys went to school, and Rome girls were mostly home taught. Now, girls outperform boys in reading and writing in nearly every modern country. Here's a wild one. Roman students learned math using an abacus. Also, ancient Roman education produced Cicero, Seneca, and Julius Caesar. Modern education gave us Einstein, Malala, and Elon Musk. So both systems made legends, but in wildly different ways. Part 6, the ultimate face-off. Rome versus today. Let's be real. We're not putting kids back on stone benches or banning calculators. Modern education has made huge progress, wider access, technology, and inclusivity. But ancient Rome had something we've lost, and a belief that learning wasn't just about facts. It was about becoming someone worth listening to. So who wins? Because the real power lies in the combo. Take Rome's discipline, purpose, and communication skills. Add today's science, access, and innovation. And you get an education system that doesn't just prepare students for exams. It prepares them for the world. Want more ancient versus modern showdowns? If you found this battle of past versus present eye-opening, imagine what ancient Greece or Egypt can teach us. Should we turn this into a series? Drop a comment with the ancient civilization you want to explore next. And if you're serious about rethinking modern education, hit that like button and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.